All right, again, Colin Cowherd is making a point to talk about the WNBA again. He does it now multiple times a week, but only when it comes to one player, or in this case, one player and what it is the rest of the league is doing to her.
We are now discussing the actual topic of trading Caitlin Clark. Really? Colin Cowherd enters with the flamethrower just as Indiana fans are beginning to breathe again, causing the heated argument to degenerate into a full-fledged inferno. Chaos seems to be his side gig. Is he going too far? Naturally. But behind all that drama, is there a shred of truth? Things get interesting and much messier at that point.
The pettiness has no bounds. For years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated.
And now we see the WNBA handle self-defeating behavior as if it were standard procedure once more. Don't bother growing the fan base or creating rosters. It seems like they have advanced to program chaos. The most recent ideation session. Call it long-term planning and trade Caitlin Clark as though she were a collector card. As if blowing out the league's biggest draw wouldn't cause a complete collapse in the WNBA, not just in Indiana. That wouldn't be a plan. It would serve as a masterclass on how to destroy your own momentum.
This is clearly them cutting her down, because when you look at fan voting, obviously Clark is one, right? Because she has the most fans in the league. So that clearly biased. You go to the media voting.
She was 3.
She was 3. That actually makes sense.
I agree. She's not having the best of years this year. She's actually, her shooting is down.
Exactly.
There's been a number of situations that she's just not played her best ball. But she is still much, eons better than a lot of the other players that they voted in front of her.
Let's begin with the obvious. Exchange Caitlin Clark does more than simply ruin the fever. It blows up the WNBA's sole source of revenue. Moving a player isn't the only thing at stake here. The goal is to maintain the league's viability. While deleting the plot, Clark does more than just lead the attack. She is using her star power to support half the league and carry a franchise. She left her mark on every sold-out jersey, every crowded venue, and every media frenzy. If you trade her, you won't be rebuilding. Relevance is being erased.
A university professor in finance looked up the value of Caitlin Clark for the WNBA. This is insane. So this year, last season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark was 26.5% of all economic activity as a rookie on the worst team in the league when she entered it. So now she has an 8-year, $128 million deal with Nike. So, she's going to eat. Merchandise in the league went up off a rookie from a Midwest-based school on the worst team in the league, 230.
Imagine gaining all that momentum now. The sold-out venue is shipping in a cardboard box with a return label and has rising ratings. It's more than just a poor move. Franchise suicide, that is. This is the type of decision that, in a show of defiance, causes fans to burn their jerseys, quit, and tune into competitive corner hole. There is recklessness, and there is doubtful. A masterclass in self-destruction with a dash of ridiculousness on top.
I'm not going to ignore, nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks while Caitlin Clark is out with the quad strain. And the reason why is because, let me tell you something right now. I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents. See, it's no fault of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark balls. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing.
If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Now, let's get into it, because this story just keeps getting wilder. We're not just talking about trade rumors, as if the league is overflowing with stars to throw around like poker chips. No, the drama runs deeper. Imagine this. The same coach who once stood by while Caitlin Clark got poked in the eye like it was part of the entertainment is now her head coach. Seriously? What's next? Hiring the trainer who iced her ankles to run team conditioning? This isn't just questionable, it's calculated. This isn't a coaching decision. It's a staged performance, wrapped in credentials and press releases. The message? Clear as day. Dim the spotlight, silence the star, and call it team strategy. But we're not buying it. Clark didn't just get benched, she got politically sidelined. And the front office? They didn't just hire a coach. They handpicked that coach, the one with a track record of passive-aggressive benchings and selective accountability. Let's be honest, Clark and this coach, they don't mix. Their basketball chemistry isn't oil and water, it's oil. And a lit match. This system isn't just failing her, it's pushing her out. And every time she's pulled off the court while a bench warmer clocks charity minutes, the message gets louder. This isn't basketball. It's sabotage in sneakers.
Clark had another, whatever you want to call it, confrontation in a WNBA game. Like, why is this happening? The Caitlin Clark phenomenon is one that I got wrong. I never really thought that Caitlin Clark would make the difference that she has in college basketball or in the WNBA. What other sports analogies are out there that are in any way similar to the impact that one individual has had on a larger sporting universe? Tiger was.
So why would a league finally getting real attention suddenly start pulling stunts like this? One word: control. Control the narrative. Control the star. Keep the audience just entertained enough, but never empowered. Because a player with real influence, that's a threat. That's disruptive. That's unbenchable. And when you can't stop the momentum directly, you do the next best thing. You bring in someone who can. Dress it up with smiles and PR talk. Call it player development. But let's be honest, the only thing developing here is a bad reputation and a fan base that's angry, alert, and keeping receipts. This coach wasn't just hired. She was strategically placed. And if all of this feels like a conspiracy, that's because the red flags aren't subtle. They're practically hitting you in the face. Don't let anyone gaslight you with talk of rebuild timelines. This isn't a rookie being nurtured. This is a superstar being disciplined for daring to color outside the league's lines. Make no mistake, this isn't about growth. It's not about basketball. It's personal, it's political, and it's intentional. And the biggest irony? Everyone's pretending this coach is just playing it safe. But real safety? That would mean unleashing your best scorer, not strapping her potential down with duct tape and hoping the fans don't notice.
Doesn't always get the consistent great star whistle. I think they're still kind of figuring out how to officiate her. Right? Like I've said this for years when I covered Shaq and Shaq got fouled more than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, it was insane. People bounced off Shaq. Jokic complains constantly, like people are bouncing off me. She doesn't quite get as favorable a whistle as you think. So I think
neither does Steph too. That's the funny.
This isn't chess. It's sabotage with a whistle. The fans see it. The broadcasters see it. Twitter sees it. The popcorn guy in row 5 sees it. Meanwhile, the rest of the league. Oh, they'd love for Clark to get shipped off like a sacrificial lamb. Can you imagine the ticket surge if she landed somewhere that didn't treat her like a radioactive liability? Drop her into Vegas and they'd build her a statue by Thursday. Send her to New York and she'd headline Times Square before practice. But keep her in Indiana under this regime and you might as well be storing fireworks in a freezer. Nothing's going to explode and everyone's going to be disappointed. And yet, there's still this idea floating around that it would somehow help. The team to trade her. Help who? The lottery odds, the backup point guard's confidence, the merchandise team that's already 2 months behind on Clark jerseys. Because, spoiler alert, without her, Indiana's not rebuilding, they're vanishing. Clark is the only reason national networks are dragging WNBA highlights out of the editing bay. She's why middle-aged dudes with no idea how the draft works are suddenly experts on pick-and-roll defense. You don't trade that. You protect it like it's the Ark of the Covenant.
All know who Caitlin Clark is. She's the golden goose, laying those golden eggs for the WNBA to prosper. Well, a lot of times we notice that the WNBA is resisting this golden goose and resisting this bump and this force of nature, which is Caitlin Clark. So we're going to dive deep into that. What's behind that? Is jealousy, envy, pettiness, all the above, more than that? We're going to have to go.
But if you were trying to crush that momentum, benching her would be a great start. And hiring her basketball nemesis would be the icing on that nuclear cake. You just have to make sure it looked professional. Lots of press conferences, plenty of buzzwords like versatility and system fit. Keep the optics clean while the sabotage runs deep. It's actually impressive how calculated it all seemed. Like someone in a suit sat down and said, let's hire the only person in the league who could possibly make Caitlin Clark look replaceable. Because that's the mission. Break the hype, flatten the curve, restore the old hierarchy. And if a few games get lost in the process, collateral damage. So let's not pretend this is about patience or rookie mistakes. This is about power. Power the league doesn't want concentrated in one player. Power the front office doesn't want walking into press rooms and owning headlines. Power that threatens the status quo with every no-look pass. And step back 3. The league could have embraced it. They could have ridden the wave and let the magic happen. But instead, they built a dam and hired a lifeguard to stand there with a clipboard, pretending there's no water behind it. Trading her wouldn't just be an error. It would be a declaration, a loud flaming middle finger to progress, fans, and the very future of the league. And guess what? People wouldn't just tune out, they'd walk away. Because it turns out watching greatness get mismanaged like a clearance sale isn't very entertaining.
The last part of it, the players vote, that I take some exception to, and I'm not a big Caitlin Clark fan. Like, I don't care either way, but they vote her 9. And why I find that absolutely hilarious is you can say she's 9 if you want, but you don't treat her like she's 9. Because when she was here in town, they were picking her up 3/4 court the entire game, and they had her double teamed the entire game. Now, is your shooting efficiency going to go?
So go ahead, keep benching her. Keep hiding behind vague coach speak and the same tired lines about team development. But don't act surprised when the fans stop showing up, when the ratings dip, and when the star you tried to, silence walks straight out the door with her entire fan base following. And when that moment comes, don't point fingers at the fans. Don't blame the media. Don't even blame Caitlin Clark. Look directly at the front office, at the coach carrying that quiet vendetta, and at the league that stood by and watched it unfold. Then say it loud, congratulations, you played yourself. Because from the outside, it's starting to look like they're all part of the same scripted drama, how to humble a star player in 10 games or less. All Clark ever wanted was to hoop, sign a few autographs, and bring some pride back to Indiana. Instead, she's been dropped into the middle of an industrial strength. Sabotage campaign disguised as culture building. You can almost hear the dramatic soundtrack swell every time she's pulled from the game, replaced by someone averaging 2 points and a bloody nose. And what was her crime? Being too good, too fast, too popular. That's it. That's the felony. She entered the league with the uncheckable audacity to be loved, nationwide. And now, the league is treating her like she came swinging a bat instead of a jump shot.
She's not last.
No, not last, no. But
Barely made it to the top 10. So she was 1, 3, and 9. Well, Dick Vitale went off on a whole rant. It is pure jealousy. Someday these players will realize what she has done for them. They now have chartered planes, increase in salaries, sold out crowds, improved TV ratings. Stop being jealous haters on.
This isn't basketball anymore. It's punishment, dressed up with a scoreboard. And here's the thing, Cease isn't throwing tantrums. She's not causing drama, skipping practice, or posting cryptic tweets. She's just a tall, humble, jump-shooting slice of Midwest decency, trying to survive in a league that treats star power like a threat. Meanwhile, the WNBA is starting to look less like a league and more like a scripted episode of Game of Thrones, all smiles at press, conferences, and knives behind the curtain. Let's be real. This coach didn't just happen to land the job. This is the same coach who once showed less compassion for Clark than a DMV worker 5 minutes from their lunch break, and now, suddenly, she's promoted to be her mentor? Come on, we're not buying the underdog fairy tale. Clark's not front and center anymore. She's been quietly pushed to the sidelines, holding the Gatorade while someone else takes the spotlight. There's a new culture forming. But let's not pretend it includes any statues of Caitlin Clark outside the arena. This isn't about team chemistry. It's about control. It's about shrinking her presence just enough so it doesn't look like the league revolves around one player, even though deep down, we all know it does.
Now let's look at the viewership, right? So I'm looking at here. So before the WNBA, before Caitlin arrived, the WNBA averaged around 300,000 to 400,000 viewers per game on national television, right? 300,000 to 400,000 viewership, right?
That's great.
The 2023 season, they said they saw an average of 367,000 viewers, right? When Caitlin Clark came, with her presence, viewership has increased with some games drawing over 1 million viewers, right? Caitlin Clark's WNBA draft for her drew 2.45 million viewers. That's crazy. So that means these people and what she did in college and bringing them all to the WNBA scale, people are watching the WNBA because of Caitlin.
They don't want a league where Caitlin Clark's individual greatness drives the narrative. They want a polished, share the spotlight production, a system where no one star dares to outshine the machine. Honestly, it's giving Soviet Union in sneakers. Clark is being treated like an uninvited celebrity guest in her own league. She's great for the promo reels, but once the camera's cut, she's shoved into the penalty box for the crime of outshining the infrastructure. And the commissioner? Please. You really think she's clueless about how this looks? This is a full-court PR detox, a calculated reminder that no player is bigger than the league. Unless, of course, that player happens to fit the image they're carefully curating. And clearly, Caitlin Clark doesn't. Let's be real. She doesn't play the game the way they want it packaged. She's not gritty in the officially approved, league-branded kind of way. She's not edgy in the corporate feminist, brochure kind of way either. She's a wholesome assassin from Iowa, and that doesn't quite fit the chaos theater they're trying to sell. So now, it's not just about basketball anymore. It's about breaking her down one piece at a time, until she either conforms or combusts.
A lot of hate on Caitlin Clark, and I think because she's white.
because she's a hooper and she's going out there and bust people's ass every single night. And it's this little pretty petite country girl that you're not expecting. Again, she's not super athletic, she's not super big, but boy, can she shoot that ball. And she is must watch TV. I think when she was hurt a few weeks ago, they said viewership dropped by 52%. You know what I mean? And
I didn't watch. I quit watching the teams.
What we're watching isn't a culture shift. It's a character assassination with soft lighting. A slow, intentional erosion of her presence. The new blueprint. No more glorifying individual greatness. No more letting one rookie carry the ratings. No more building empires around viral three-pointers and jersey sales. Now it's about team unity and shared narratives. In other words, strip down the star until she fits the mold, or at least doesn't threaten to break it. And the fans, they see it loud and clear. You can hear it in every boo, every tweet, every side eye shot during the game. But it's not just disrespectful, it's self-destructive. Because Clark is the storyline. She's the reason people who haven't watched a WNBA game in years suddenly know when Indiana plays. She's the walking stimulus check for the entire league. And instead of cashing it in, they're trying to write her out of the script before she finishes the first act. So now we've got this weird league-sponsored campaign of polite hostility. She's on the court but not really featured. She's praised in interviews but benched during blowouts. They talk about her impact but refuse to build around her. It's like watching someone give a standing ovation with their arms crossed. Meanwhile, the league keeps dropping buzzwords like breadcrumbs. Growth, equity, system development, all that corporate yoga speak that sounds deep but means absolutely nothing when your best player is parked on the pine, while her team loses by double digits. It's a PR smoke screen so thick you'd need NASA to see through it.
About hatred, when we talk about jealousy, when we talk about pettiness, Caitlin Clark's name always pops up because that's what she receives on a daily basis. And for the players to vote her 9th in guards just lets you know how out of touch they are. And it's not because of her game, it's simply because of those 3 things that I mentioned. She was ranked 1st by the fans, which makes sense. She was ranked number 3 by the media, which kind of makes sense. Anywhere between the 1, 2, or 3rd, that's fine. And then she was ranked 9th by